Hey Trendsetters.
Welcome to the Elevating Aesthetics podcast.
I'm Brittany Perez.
And I'm Megan Theus.
And today we are talking about how the podcast got started.
Yes, the purpose behind the podcast.
And what Trendsetters means and how we came up with that pet name for you all.
I actually love it. Trendsetters really does speak to who we are as people, not just in the medical aesthetic world, but just as people. And I love it so much.
And really, it's about just how you show up in your life and how being a leader, whether that is in business, with your friends, with your children, really just setting the tone for your life. That's what being a trendsetter is.
And the purpose behind this podcast and kind of where the name came from is we like to elevate other people. We like to inspire other people. And it's not just about estheticians and aesthetic providers. I think that that's kind of like an umbrella term that we use to describe so many things in our life.
Yes. When you think about aesthetic, you think about your life as a whole. And we think holistically with our patients, and then for our audience as well, we wanted something that would really capture basically everyone. It wants to be uplifted and be inspired and feel more confident.
Absolutely.
And just have real conversations. That is what this podcast is about.
Yes, and not just women.
Yes, women and men. And so when you think about aesthetics, I personally think about the physical part of it. Yes, we think about the way that we look, the house that we have, the car that we drive, the J's that we wear.
Yes.
Today.
Brittany got her first pair of Jordans today. I'm such a sneakerhead, and I was like, you have to have these. We left the gym, drove to Foot Locker so we could get some. I can't wait for you to see them.
They're so cute. But so not just the physical part, it is also like the spiritual, building relationships. It's about the intellectual part, like the personal development I love so much. I don't know if you guys know, but I've talked about going back to law school. I have such an obsession with learning and kind of what I have thought about doing now. I don't know if I've told you yet, but I'm thinking about doing like a little MBA maybe.
That would be perfect for you.
Because I'm always trying to learn, and I will never know everything in aesthetics, but I feel like I've kind of reached that point where going to conferences just for aesthetics isn't as enjoyable for me. So I'm leaning more into lasers and skin, but also I'm wanting something more. So I was thinking like advertising, marketing, MBA type
to
thing.
help grow the business as a whole.
Yes. The social part, the aesthetic of your life where you are spending time with your friends and you're building new relationships and you're networking.
Yeah, I think that, when you think of the word aesthetic, obviously the first thing that comes to your mind is this profession, but you're right, it goes so much deeper than that. Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot over the last couple of weeks about self-love and self-care, and this kind of plays into that as well, because that's sort of where the podcast originated. Yeah. And Britt can actually speak on it because she started this with Courtney, and once Courtney got pregnant and left, which Courtney has been coming back,
and we love it.
We're so excited. She's actually the first person that I texted today whenever Britt got her shoes, because Courtney and I, that's one of the things that grew our friendship, is that we love sneakers. We're a lot alike when it comes to that. So whenever that podcast idea came about, it was for the two of you, because you have such a banter and such a great relationship, and you already love to educate others. Exactly. So it was just a way for you to reach people outside of your office setting.
Yes. And I think it's so important to have an outlet. Some people love to journal. Some people love to talk. And the podcast is really just like an artistic outlet. It's a different way to express ourselves. And we express ourselves in the rooms, injecting patients. And then we're expressing ourselves here with the podcast, being able to have real conversations and being able to be authentic and have a good time and have guests on that are also like motivating to us, because we know that people will tell us that we're motivating, but we are also motivated by others. So it's just so much fun to have other people come in and be able to see like what drives them and what makes them who they are. And I think whenever we think about trendsetters and we think about aesthetics, we think about how we're presenting ourselves, like how we're showing up in our space. And that's what we want our audience to think as well, is, be the trendsetter in your life and be the person that is a leader. And it doesn't matter what that means to you. It just means that you are living your life to the fullest.
Yeah, I love that. And it may be for other things. It may be like making a fashion statement, how you decorate your home.
Haley.
Like so many, oh my gosh, Haley's everything, such a queen. But one thing I think that really draws people to us, not just for the podcast, podcast, but also just as friends and providers, is that we're authentic and we're relatable. And you and I've talked about it before. You know, you started this business from the ground up. You've had this vision of building this brand and an empire that is supportive and encouraging, and that's all kind of tied together into the podcast because you know, you've been working on this for a long time. And for people from the outside looking in, if they don't know you personally, it looks like, oh my gosh, this just fell in her lap, this just happened overnight, she's got it all together, and you feel like you probably do have it all together now. I know you don't think that. We all think that. This girl is an Excel spreadsheet queen. Like, I swear to you, everything in her life is in a document. I have the documents. I see them myself. But it didn't happen overnight.
Loves that about me. That's Katie's favorite thing about me.
I love it. I'm like, what is your schedule like for the week when we go into the gym? I get an email link and it's a spreadsheet with her whole life. I'm like, okay, so we can have dinner this night or this night.
That is the only way that I can function. And whenever people ask me how I do so much, because you know I get DMs all the time, they're like, how are you here, there, doing this, doing that business? It's a spreadsheet.
But I love that to other people it looks so put together and everything like it just happened, but the truth is that it didn't just happen overnight, and you've been prioritizing this business and yourself and everything and planning this for a long time. And so I like that we're able to show that in this podcast and people know who we are outside of here.
Absolutely.
And that draws them to us.
And I think one of the biggest things that has helped me be so successful in my life is optimism. If I could find one characteristic about myself that like speaks to me and I know that it's what has helped me, it is being optimistic about situations. Whenever one thing happens, whenever one door closes, I'm like, this happened for a reason. Just practicing gratitude and being happy for what I have. I think that mindset goes way further than we realize. And that is one thing that I can 100% say for myself is I have a very positive mindset.
You absolutely
and I
do.
can always find the good in someone. If someone is complaining about another person, I'm like, well, maybe they were having a bad day.
You absolutely do that.
And I think that has not only led me to success in my life, but also helps me lead other people. And so having such a big business, do you guys actually all get along? And we do, but it's because I think Katie and I have a leadership style where we're like, okay, like we can see your side, we can see this side. How can we like be a team and make this work together instead of forming like cliques and boundaries in our relationships with each other? We really just talk it out. And so that's also what this podcast is for, is just trying to like talk through our emotions, trying to figure out like what we can do to be a better version of ourselves.
Yeah, and you know, another thing, and we are going to talk about this on an episode coming up, but it looks like butterflies and rainbows on the outside, but the truth is, I mean, seriously, you have created such an environment for me, for everyone here, that's empowering and supportive and loving. And you know, I went through a bad divorce several years ago, and I was in a very dark place. I don't really like to say the word dark place, but that is the truth. It was a dark place. And then, you know, I met my husband and I got my job here, and my life has changed in so many ways because this environment, it's so uplifting and supportive. And I want people that maybe aren't our patients, just people that listen to our podcast, to feel that same empowerment and inspiration. So if you're looking for a podcast and you want to be inspired and uplifted and empowered, and not just aesthetic stuff, obviously we do talk a lot about that, but just, you know, to learn how to be the best version of yourself, then this podcast is for you, for sure.
Absolutely. I think that the people that you surround yourself with, whether that is physically or something that you're listening into, that again is going to be your mindset. That's what you're waking up thinking about every day. So if you're, you know, like me and you listen to just the murder mysteries all the time, like, you know,
gloomy.
We don't need to doom and gloom all the time. I think that there's a lot of negativity in the world. You know, there's a lot going on in Iran, and there's a lot of, you know, scary things in the world. And so to have a place where we can just chat and be motivational and bring out the best in you, that is what we want for this podcast.
And be real, because that's the thing that I love about you the most, is that you're real and you're you all the time. Like, it doesn't change. Even when we're not here, you know, you're who you are. And I love that about you. The fact that first of all, we have such a great guest lineup. We have so many guest speakers. We're involved with the community. I mean, we've collabed with a lot of other local businesses, and we have several other future collabs that are going to be coming. And I just want everyone, not just women, but women and men, whether you're in business or not, you just want, you know, to be the best version of yourself. That is what we stand for. And community involvement and having people feel supported. And we are our own community here, and we are trendsetters, and I love that about us. But it's not just about people that are in business or people that are in aesthetics.
Yes, it could be anyone. That's the beauty of it, and that's what we really wanted for this podcast, was to be inclusive. I think inclusivity is one of the things that we stand for here at Mila, and just in our lives in general, is that we are friends with everyone. You know, like, for sure. I genuinely just love people, and I love conversations, and I love learning about other people, and so this is just really fun. We're girls.
I love it.
And so next week we have the leader that does everything for the Blue Angels weekend. It is in Pensacola, Florida. You guys know that Blue Angels is like the biggest air show and
the biggest weekend, I feel
insane.
Like, in Pensacola.
It is. She's going to come in and she's going to talk to us about what the process looks like, because it's a year-long process. Once the Blue Angels stops the next weekend, then she's going to get started for next year. So we really just want to get her behind the scenes of what it takes to be in that position. And
yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too.
And the fact that she's even able to take a break away from the busy week, because it literally is starting like on Monday of this upcoming week.
That's awesome.
And she's going to come and hang out with us for a little while. I'm so pumped about it.
Yes, me too. And we'll see you next week.